Welcome to Otakin with Dave, coming to you from his palatial fortress in Sin City, where what happens in Vegas is talked about everywhere. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
All right, how we doing out there? I hope you're doing great. I am top shelf and climbing the walls. You know what gets me? Wasting time. And I'm not being the sterile, don't waste time, blah, blah, blah. You know, every moment has to be used for the utmost important. Yeah, well, I think wasting time is a big factor in my patience problem. I'm working on another podcast on patience. I've had some breakthroughs, I guess. Maybe epiphanies. I don't know what you call them. However, I think a lot of my challenges with patience is when I feel like I'm wasting time. It's something that has, over time, I realize the importance. I don't know. It's not because I'm older. I'm not that old. It's a productivity thing. And when I say personal productivity, I'm not being sterile. I'm not being put everything in its place to the point to where there's no flexibility. I'm talking about getting the most out of whatever you're doing, whatever you're focusing on. If it's work, if it's at home, if it's play, whatever. Use that time wisely. And the enemy is wasted time. It's the enemy. And so we're going to talk through that today. Yeah, just a couple of quotes, and you've heard these before. Time is more valuable than money, because you can get more money. You can't get more time. No way. It's gone. You know, lost time is never found. You know, you talk about making up for lost time. Can't do it. You can't do it. It is gone. And time is what we want most, but we use the worst. And it's not to any age. When you're young, oh, you've got so much time. You got so much time. Well, when you get, I'll say middle age, you realize all the time you wasted in your youth. You need to have fun. You need to get out there. You need to play. And you need to learn your way. Then you get older and hey, time is more precious. You want to spend more time doing certain things, and then when you're doing them, you want to use it to the most. And then, yeah, I'm 60, so I don't feel my mortality at all. Yeah, well, sometimes I feel my mortality more than others when I overexert or something. However, I don't feel like I'm running out of time. I am interested in using time wisely. If you're going to be a defeatist mentality, from the time we're born, we're running out of time. I don't think that way. But when I waste buckets of time, I feel dirty. I feel like, just wait. It's the DMV. You waste 3 or 4 hours there. It's like, well, you got what you went for. You knew it, planning and all that. We're going to get into all this, but I feel like, I could have done so much. I feel dirty. I feel empty. Sometimes I feel lazy depending on what I'm doing. But when you look at why is time so precious and shouldn't be wasted? I've talked to the quotes. Yeah, we don't get any more. It's gone. Once it's gone, it's gone. You don't get it back. You can't make up for it. All these things. So the irreplaceable nature, that's part of it. Money or possessions, time is the irreplaceable nature is when you're with a person, and all of this is homework and play. I'm going to try not to say homework and play 100 times today. Yeah. Thanks, Gary, for reminding me I say that too much. Anyway, homework and play. Anyway, no matter where it is, spending time with a person, the circumstances around those moments will never be the same again. Never be the same. I know just hanging out in the garage back in the day, from one day to the next, that day will never happen again. The things that happened earlier in the day, the things we talk about. We may tell the same stories. We may tell the same memories that we have. But the circumstances will never be exactly the same. You don't get, the old expression, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. That's true. It's true. So at work, that deal, the circumstances behind that conversation, that presentation, with relaxing, that kind of time. You go to play golf, you're going to get some me time in, and it's raining, and you can't play. What are you going to do? What do you do with that time? Because whatever you do, that is the use of that resource. So it is truly irreplaceable. Of course, it's a limited supply. I talk a lot about time management. And the number one thing I say with time management is you can't manage time. You can't. You get 24 hours a day. You get 7 days in a week. I'm not going to, if I said you get 365 days in a year, someone will bring up leap year. So I'm not going to do that. Let's go a day at a time. Let's go a morning at a time. Let's go a block. I do blocks, 3-block system. Let's go a block at a time. But we don't know how much time we have. We don't. I like to think we have a lot. That doesn't mean you shouldn't use it wisely. A lot of people have a ton of money and then they don't because they didn't use it wisely. And now it's gone. But they can make more money. Yeah. Also, no matter what age you are, time shapes your future. How you use your time today, it's going to affect later on today or tomorrow at some point in the future. And so what does that mean? In business, it can be deals. It can be relationships. It can be networking. It can be opportunities. Same way in relationships and with your family. Things you say today. My kids are constantly bringing up things that I said at one point. I don't remember saying these things, but that sounds pretty good. Or it could be the opposite. You realize you said that one time? Sorry. Sorry about that. That was not an Andy Griffin moment. So all of these things shape the future. And, this is not meant to put pressure on you to, you've got to use it perfectly. You've got to say the right things at the right. No. It's more reason to plan and prepare. However, be yourself, but understand that the things that happen today shape tomorrow. They shape later today. And then there is a compounding effect of that. Something small. Consistent small actions can build something powerful over time. Today happens to be my oldest sister's birthday, Debbie. Happy birthday, Debbie. She is the kindest, the sweetest, the most thoughtful person I've ever met. Yeah, she is my sister. I don't care. It's true. And other people will back that up. And you can't point to any one thing. It is a combination over time of things that she's done. She can get more done in a day than just about anybody I know for more people in more situations. And she's built this legacy of all of these things. But it's just small things over time. When you break things up with wasted time, you hurt your own momentum. And by that I mean, if she was ever critical or in a bad mood or snapping at somebody, whoa, what's going on there? Well, it's the same way with your time. You create momentum with small things. And we'll talk about small victories and changing things to get a little bit more momentum with your time once you've wasted it. That's coming later. But there is a compounding effect to your actions, but also to your use of time. The more you can get, the more productive your day today, okay, that's going to build. And today, tomorrow, through the course of a work week. A lot of times, the most successful work weeks I have had, it's because I used my time wisely 3 months ago. So there is that compounding effect. And then, hey, how you use your time, it reflects your values. What you spend your time doing It shows what matters most to you. And I don't wring my hands about what do people think about me. I really don't. I really don't. People who have managed me at one time or another wish I would a little more. Nah, I go about what I do the way I go about doing it. Hopefully, it ends up in a good place and people think well of me, but that's not why I do it. If people watch me waste time, all right, that might send the wrong message. So I try not to waste it. Wasted time, it's living outside of alignment with your priorities. Unless you have no priorities. So that's what it's. If you're haphazard and wasting time, and I've talked to many salespeople. If you show up at a place and you've got you just sit around and chew the fat for an hour, well, that shows that you got time to do that. Whereas if you go in, you got a purpose, you talk to it, you get it done, and you're gone. That guy's busy. That guy's got a lot going on. I want to do business with that guy. And when he gets your time, he's not going to want to waste it because he knows your time is a priority. That's true at home as well. If I'm just hanging out in the garage and got all day, wow, what's this guy doing? I've had people in my 50s, when I was in my 50s, think, are you semi-retired? It's because I gave them too much time. At the time, I didn't want to be rude. It sent the wrong message, So how are we wasting time now? What are we doing that can be considered wasting time? Now, this is updated. This is new. If I made this list 10 years ago, different list. Totally different list, especially with number one. Digital distractions. Scrolling on social media. Our thumbs are muscle bound now. You got it'd be interesting to see a 16-year-old now versus in the 70s. I guarantee you that this muscle right here is much more developed just from the scroll. I wonder the details around carpal tunnel. If it's happening earlier or if it's happening less just because we're building that muscle up in your dominant hand or both or whatever. You got I was on a plane the other day and there was, I don't know how old she was, probably, I don't know, late teens, early 20s. My goodness. In the old days when we learned typing, they would calculate words per minute. If they calculated words, emojis, and whatever per minute on this person, they would need an algorithm just to do that. Because, just whoa. Unbelievable. And so I am not judging. I have strong feelings about the time we spend on social media and and I'm not talking about just kids. Oh my goodness. You go, my wife and I will go out to eat, and you've got people close to our age. They're all on their phones. Everybody's on their phones. You go to a concert now and you have to, I'm tall, so it's pretty easy, but you have to get above all the phones. Instead of watching the show, they're videoing the show so they can post it. Half the people have the back to the stage because they're doing selfies. And I do that too. However, it's become such a part of our culture. Either scrolling or posting or checking notifications, you can get lost in it. And I'm guilty. I don't mean to be gross, but when I go to the restroom now, if I've got my phone, and I need my phone, otherwise I'm counting the tiles or counting the squares and the wallpaper or whatever. I'm a lot quicker when I don't take my phone, but I'm in there for a long time, and my wife will hear me in there laughing or whatever. It is a time suck. It is. Now, there are efficient things you can do on the phone and all that, so I'm not totally poo-pooing it, but understand how much time you spend. And there's counters. You can look at it. So digital distractions. It's huge. It's huge. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Also, another common waste of time is just pure procrastination. I got important stuff I need to do. And I'm doing low priority stuff in front of it. or something that's not essential or not as important. Because I'm thinking, okay, that's a big thing. Let me knock these 5 little things out. Well, you know how things spiderweb on you. Well, these 5 things, that one thing turned into 3, and then this, and then, I got a notification. So it's procrastination. I don't care. I've done the podcast on procrastination. I mean, you got fear, you got perfectionism, you got lack of motivation, you got all these other things. However, you're stacking things up that aren't a priority in front of your priorities, and you don't get them done. It's because you wasted time on unimportant things. And then you feel dirty and lazy and weak and Okay? One of the biggest things is poor planning. Poor planning. I'm a man. Anybody that's ever worked with me or for me, you have planning, then you have preparation. Without those 2 things, you're wasting your time. You're not going to be at your best. Your productivity is going to be lacking somewhat. Have a to-do list. Something as simple as a to-do list. My wife has got a to-do list. I usually do 2 days at a time. Tomorrow is a little more set by the end of today. And then the next day is, okay, it's a little more abstract, but I have these things to do. I have a 3-block system that I teach and you can learn. However, without a plan, you're going to be working on a lot of different things. That get to-do list, well, a to-do list should be a to-done list. And if you can't get to that, you need to look at why. And I'm not going to get into all of that. But what I'm going to get into is without these clear things that I am going to do, you're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to constantly switch. Multitasking is a huge waste of time. Now, multitasking, I'm going to talk in a minute what I don't consider multitasking, but some would. However, a lack of planning with priorities creates wasted time. We can talk about it all you want, but I'm right on this one. Also, this is primarily work, but it can be not work. It's just inefficient or unnecessary meetings, Zoom calls, just Teams calls, or whatever platform you use. Attending unproductive meetings, that is the bane of some professional existences. And then you have people who are busy, and then you have people who are in offices that will just schedule meetings in the middle of prime time work. I'm in the field trying to sell something, and you're scheduling a Teams meeting at 10 a.m.? Are you out of your mind? And if it's necessary, okay. But then you get in there, and they're laughing and cutting up because they have nothing, they got a break before or after, or they're just trying to get through till lunch. Okay, you've got that pockets of time, and you're punching a clock. I am basing my existence on being productive, especially when it's time to work. Work hard, play hard. Do them both very seriously. Time with family, so focused. Whatever I'm doing, focus on that. If you're trying to focus on several things, or you're dealing with people who don't have the same priorities for this pocket of time, you're going to be frustrated because you're going to feel like you wasted time. Going over the same things over and over, spending the first 10 minutes of a 30-minute call, reviewing the last call, people showing up 15 minutes late. Well, now we've got to catch them up. Wasted time. Wasted time. And it may not be you wasting it. It's other people wasting your time. But when you allow that, still, it's on you. And then a lot of it is just around not being organized. I'm not the most organized person you're going to meet, and I think that's part of the walk. Okay, how can I improve? No one is completely productive and without any wasted time. The goal is, let's waste less. The way you waste less is focus on where am I room for improvement. So it's the digital distractions. It's procrastination. It's poor planning. It's ineffective or inefficient meetings or communication within those meetings. Or I just got to get organized. These are just 5. There's probably 50. And each one probably has bullet points under it for your own, situation. But this is big, broad, time-wasting categories. But now, why is this important? Dave, why are you harping on this? Why are you wasting our time with all... That's not funny. It's not funny at all. So why is wasting time and having this lack of productivity problematic? Dave, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal because you're missing opportunities. You're wasting time. It's missing opportunities because it's chances to grow at work, chances to develop skills. Maybe it's personal goals. If I waste time at work, that's delaying the time I can spend with my family. Yeah. If I waste time with my family, those are memories I'm not going to get back. If I am, and organization it's flexible, but you know what? If we're going somewhere and we need to, let's go have some fun. Let's go have some family time. But I've got 25 things to do before we can go, and I waste an hour of that time. I'll never get that back. Who knows what my kids would say during that time? Who knows what I might say that will bring a memory? And I miss that because I wasted time. And then you've got to the play side of it. Hey, what's the number one thing go? Oh, if I'm not efficient or if I waste home time or work time, well, that's going to cut. First thing I'm going to cut is play time. So I don't get that time to myself to enjoy something I need to do to balance everything out. Resentment, boom, later on, oh, this job sucks, or my family doesn't get me. No, you wasted time and didn't have time to sit and drink coffee and look at the birds or read a book or go to the driving range or go for a walk. That's on you, man. That's on you. And that goes back to the getting to a good place process to where, what's the source of this? And you get out of whack because you wasted time and you missed opportunities. Which goes to the second thing that happens. Stress and worry. Stress can be good. Worry's never good. Worry's a waste of time. An incremental, an exponential waste of time. Worry is, because you think about it, resentment and regret. You got to think about it, you relive it, and then you gin it back up and you stew. All of this comes from wasted time. When things pile up on you, it could be from procrastination, lack of organization, whatever. You're using your time poorly. It creates pressure. It creates pressure. Just an hour ago, my wife's got a full schedule this morning. She's taking, a lot of things. She's taking the dogs to a daycare. They're going to have a spa day. Actually, they're giving us a break. They're driving us crazy. We're getting them fixed in a month or so. They don't know it. Don't tell them. Anyway, they're crazy. 2 8-month-old boxers running wild. So today she gets up. She's got I see her to-do list. She's got 5 things to do. Well, one of the things is kickboxing. She loves kickboxing, but she's got these duties that she has got to do, which in her world would be considered the work side. Kickboxing would be the play side. All right. Then she's going to get home later and we're going to have a nice day with our other dog who's older, and we're going to reward ourselves. It's like getting a babysitter and going out on a date night. Kind of. Well, she was super stressed this morning because she's got to get all this done by this time. And then after that, the schedule opens up. I could see it. I could see her all stressed. So I said, what can I do to help you get on your way? And there's, a couple of things. I could see her working. So I did a couple of things I knew she needed. She appreciated that. And then before she left, I held her face for a second and said, just relax. You've got plenty of time. and you'll knock this out. And showed her the reward. But I could see these things were piling up. She was looking at the clock. She was getting anxious. The stress was building. Last thing we want is for her to hop out in traffic in a hurry. And just think about that over time with all the different categories, with all the busy schedules we have. Not using time wisely, it builds up. And then we're burnt out. And then we finally get to something we've been looking forward to, but we're not in a shape to enjoy it. Just because we didn't use our time wisely. And it's not the time, it's building up to it, and then the aftermath. That is all the same thing. I'm getting impatient with you people. Just kidding. Just kidding. Also, what happens, let's think about it. Let's think it's work. All right, you got all this stuff. You got, whether it's the commute or you spill coffee on yourself or you get stuck in traffic or whatever's happening, you get to work. That's when you're rushed and last minute stuff comes along, your quality of work is not what it could be. Your presence with talking to a friend. I've met people at lunch and it took 20 minutes for them to calm down. And then we finally order and then the food takes a while and now they're stressed because now they're bumping up against their next thing. The quality of time when we're not using it well is subpar. Our performance is poor. Our presence is poor because we're not valuing our time, our prep time, our planning, what's important. We put all these other little tasks in front of the most important, and it pollutes the quality time that we've been looking forward to and we need, which gives us less fulfillment. You feel you're not satisfied with an opportunity or a situation or an experience, and that frustrates you. And a lot of times you'll blame other things when really you weren't present because you've got so much going on. The reason you got so much going on, you're not planning your time properly. This has a negative impact on those around you. I don't care who is around you. Your boss, your coworkers, people that are working for you, your family, your friends, your dogs, probably mostly your dogs, because they know something's going on. Your customers, these people that are watching you. You have an effect on their life and they see you frazzled. These people who count on you and you show up and you're not present and they have a challenge. They need you. That can damage a relationship. It can hurt your career. It definitely time you can't get back. So the whole essence of time is limited. Do we really believe that? Do we believe it? I've always said I'm going to outlive you all. I picked the youngest person. Okay, everybody else is going to be gone. When something happens to me, I remember Sam, our neighbor had a daughter, Sam. I remember she was, 6 or 7 years old. I would go to Sam and say, okay, Sam, when I go, you're probably still going to be around. Everybody else is going to, and we'd have a good time talking about it. Do we really believe that time is a valuable resource? We don't act like it a lot of times. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you are the pilot. Don't blame other people. You are the pilot. You can control it. Your time is up to you. And getting control of that. Like I know people who they pinch every penny. They make it bleed. They drive me crazy. But they waste so much time. They'll sit around doing nothing for hours talking about how they're so busy. Do we act like time is precious? And that's one of the first things. Reducing, or I'm not going to say eliminating wasted time, because There's always room for improvement, but reducing wasted time, it involves intentional habits and planning and boundaries. And it doesn't have to be so sterile that planning and that focus on reducing wasted time is an obsessive situation in itself. I mean, simple little things to create an environment where you reduce your wasted time. Let's just take them. Let's separate them out. So at home, we've talked about decluttering your space. Yeah, okay. Now I'm not the best at this. I'm not good at all. That's why this camera doesn't show this area right here. However, I am very tidy and specific in certain areas. But declutter saves time. You're not spending time looking for stuff. Who sets a period of time before they need to do something to find a piece of paper, to find a receipt, to find a business card, to find a trinket of some sort? No. So if you keep things fairly tidy, or you know where things are, my son he's got to get his real ID. My daughter also needed her birth certificate for something, but they both needed birth certificates for two different reasons. I'm thinking, well, the chances of finding a birth certificate, are you out of your mind? My wife, I know where it is. She has a box for each kid. It's got everything. There's little curls of hair and maybe a tooth and birth certificates and their first this and their first that, and boom. It took no time. If you'd have asked me to find it, I probably wouldn't have even looked, or it would have taken me forever. That declutter or that organization saved time. Boom. And the confidence in knowing I know where that is. That's great. So declutter as much as possible. Using a routine. I am a very routine guy. I mean, I have a morning routine. Whether it's, you get up, coffee, shave and shower while the coffee's going on, and you go in and take the coffee and do whatever, email. Blocks of time help me with that. There's certain things, certain times a day I do certain things, and then boom, I don't do it any other time. When I'm on the road, oh my goodness, I'm a Hilton Honors guy, so whether it's a Hampton Inn or a Hilton Garden Inn, they're all the same. I know. I have my routine. And so that helps. You do something out of my routine, I'm going to mess up. There's downfalls to that too, but having a routine, I'm very regimented, and regimen is too disciplined. I'm going to say automated in what I do, but that's good. That way you get that done. It saves time. Just because the coffee is percolating while I'm shaving and showering, that is not multitasking. Don't hit me with that. The coffee maker's making the coffee. I'm not. Gary. Then setting boundaries. Mainly around either social media or TV. You can do that with different timers or different. I set a lot of alarms. A lot of times I wonder what that alarm was for. But set boundaries with different things. That helps you with wasted time, because at home a lot of times you feel like, all right, I can relax a little bit. And you should. But you should limit the amount of time that you spend on things that are time sucks. And then a lot of the time at home, schedule, have a plan. It doesn't have to be in stone, but you know what? I'm going to do my errands at this time. The meals. Lately we've been looking at different things. Let's eat at home these nights and let's eat out these nights. Well, okay. You got to plan that a little bit. Okay. You don't have to plan the whole menu, but are we going to have food in the house? Otherwise, I got to go to the grocery store at the last minute, all that. So have a plan for your week. We were doing something the other day, and all of a sudden my wife decided she wanted to mop the floors. Well, you're going to mop the floors while me and 3 dogs are wreaking havoc on the house? Why don't Saturday morning, when you take the dogs to do this, I'll mop the floors. That way they can dry and everything will be fine by the time you get back home. And not only do you save time now where we can spend time together, I will use that pocket of time while you're gone. Just that simple little plan there. It's not procrastinating. Don't hit me with that. Just a loose plan like that will help, and it's a relief. Okay, all right, it's going to get done. Yeah, okay, great. Working together, a little communication. And then, sometimes you share responsibilities. We got stuff to do. I'm a little overwhelmed right now. Hey, can you help me out and do this? You know what? I take the garbages out, and then they come the next morning. When you get home at lunch, can you bring the garbages in? And that way I can park there, and I don't have to park up there and walk back and do blah, 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 blah. And by delegating and telling them the why, instead of, hey, here's some stuff I want you to do. Here's chores for you. Here's why. That helps. But involving everybody, because people genuinely want to help, generally. Like I wanted to help my wife this morning, so what can I do? What can I do? I had a pocket of time. Let me lighten your load. So that's at home. Just a few things. Saves time. You save minutes. Minutes turn into 30 minutes, which turns into an hour. At work, all right, you got to prioritize high impact tasks. There's a bunch of, you can see I kind of get, work, productivity at work. It's a big thing. What's most important? You got to get this done. I use a 3-block method. You block your calendar out for things, but here is, I do this during these times. I don't do other things during those times, but I plan times for those so it doesn't build. If I'm in Outlook, people that work with me know if that time's blocked, it's not available. If it's open, it's completely available. Limiting meetings, things like that. When I invite people to meetings, I tell them what we're going to talk about and what we're going to do. And anybody that comes in with something outside of that, okay, we park and lot it, or I'll say I'll plan another meeting for that, or send me a 30-minute meeting notice for that, and we'll talk about that. My calendar's open, or up to date, not open. And then you can put similar tasks together, and I do that outside of the blocks, like before 8 o'clock, and usually it's a long way before 8 o'clock, and then lunch hour, and from 5 to 6. In between the blocks, that's when I group emails together or catch up on my calls or any administrative type stuff. If I'm driving, I can catch up on calls safely, 10 and 2, hands-free. And then, other than that, avoid the multitasking. Now, when I talk about driving, I drive a lot, so I can catch up on, I don't do the emails and stuff, but I can catch up on calls. Or I can schedule a call during that time. And by that, I don't mean a Teams call or something, but if somebody calls and needs to talk to me, hey, I'm going to be on the road from 10 to 12. Why don't you call me around 11? And you can do a tremendous amount of catching up, and that's not multitasking. That's talking on the phone. The car's doing what it needs to do. Of course, focus, be healthy, stay safe. Yeah, all of that. But all that at work. I remember one of the best things around productivity, I charged for this, but go ahead and listen. But we had a situation to where I had a team that was terribly unproductive. And their feedback was, we just have so much time during doing administrative stuff. So we had a little session, and I said, what if you had 2 hours a day? A pocket of time. How would you use that time? How could you be more productive? So we made a list. Put it up there. These are their words. That's how I work. Their words, not mine. That's a wish list. If I could just have a pocket of time, here's what I would do. Okay? Then I said, what are time wasters? You talk about administrative stuff and reports and things we're requiring. If you could get rid of those, what would you get rid of? And we made a list. Boom. The daily reports, the calls, the blah, 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 the things on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All of these things, they made a list. And then I said, okay, I'm going to remove these things. All right? You report to me. You don't have to send these in. If your sales numbers are at this level, you don't have to do these things. So you can sell your way out of this. All right? So now I've given you, in your words, 2 hours a day. Boom. You don't have to do that anymore. Oh, they were so happy. You've got to be kidding me. That is fantastic. All right, now we've created a pocket of time. How are you going to use that? You got 2 more hours. That's not 2 more hours to play. That's not you getting off 2 hours early or going in 2 hours late. No. How are you going to use that time to be more productive? Well, we just made a list, didn't we? If you had 2 hours, what would you do? Now, in a good salesperson, more productivity, more sales, more money. Yeah. So this really changed our results. The good people, the people that were more productive, who didn't just create a pocket of time and waste it, they rose to the top. Those that didn't, well, other things happen. So when you create a pocket of time, what are you going to do with it? Use it. There's no such thing as free time. Plan that time. Plan it for play or pleasure, if nothing else. Plan it for more work or more time. There's no free time. There's no nothing time unless you're asleep. So let's talk about play. Be intentional. There's no free time. Fill it with activities. Fill it with nothing. Schedule a nap. But use that time. Because if you don't, what's going to happen? You're gonna think, I'm gonna sit outside for 30 minutes, drink a cup of coffee, and start my day just relaxing. If you don't guard that time, something's gonna happen. You're gonna be scrolling on your phone. Somebody's gonna call. You might answer it. Don't answer that phone. And you can look and see if it's one of your kids, but don't answer that phone. You've got to guard that, but be intentional with what you consider free time. Because when things happen, your free time's the first to go. And set, maybe your digital distractions, that's fun for you. Great. Fantastic. Do it. Catch up. That's how people catch up with their friends or whatever. That's great. Schedule it and put a limit on it. Scheduling downtime is something people just don't do. It's downtime. I don't want to schedule it. Okay, but guard it. Say no. Say no to things that are going to get in the way with that, or things that it's just not a priority. And that's a whole nother podcast on deselecting. But also, look back. How much playtime did I have? How much leisure time did I have? And chances are it's not enough, maybe too much, but think about what you really enjoyed about it. If you don't come back from some leisure time, excuse me, or 30 minutes or an hour or a nice lunch or whatever that you have planned, if you don't come back feeling in a better place, you need to reflect on why that is. Why am I still tense? Well, it's probably because you let other things creep in. So often, and I do this. I am guilty of this. After I've wasted time, I said I feel dirty. I feel lazy. I feel clammy and none too fresh because I wasted this time. And I beat myself up and think I teach people about how precious time is, and I just wasted this. I'll never get that back. Or I can't even remember what he said. We had lunch and he was telling this story and I laughed, but I wasn't really there. Man. And I beat myself up. So how can we redeem? Redeem. I'm going to turn into a preacher. I don't have the hairdo to be an evangelist. But how do we redeem this wasted time and try to pull something productive out of it after the fact? I think a lot of it is you got to learn from it. You ask yourself, why? Why did I waste that time? Was I tired? Was I distracted? Was it just not that important to me? Did I go into that without any clarity as to what I wanted or what they wanted? Ask yourself that, and understanding the why. Next time, I'll do this. Next time I won't do this. And you turn the experience into the learning. We talk about that. Never waste pain. Never waste wasted time. Learn from it. Next time, you know what? I did this right before that. Next time I'm going to show up 15 minutes early and focus on the task at hand. Business, I do this pretty well. Home, not so much. I take it for granted. We've talked about that. In play, I'll cut it out. Yeah, just being honest here. Then another thing is take immediate action. Take 5-10 minutes and focus on something that needs to be done right now. I can do this. I'm going to catch up and do all this other stuff. If you can do something quickly, go ahead and do it. You need to find something out before something that's coming up. Go ahead, send a text. And hey, can you tell me this? I've done this so many times, and I apologize if you were one of them. But I know I'm going to see somebody, and they may bring a friend, and I'll text. I'm horrible with names. I'll text Steph. Hey, what's so and so's friend that was at the garage that time? And he had on the weird looking shirt. I made fun of his shoes. Boom. Thank you so much. Using that quick time ahead of time, that will enhance that. And so a lot of times you'll look back and you can't remember this. Okay, next time, what can I do? Phone a friend real quick. Or a lot of times if it can be, if you can get something across quicker with a sketch or a drawing, if there's a dry erase board around me, I'm drawing on it. But taking immediate action on something to keep from wasting time later. It's very important. If you can see you're not getting something across and it's going to take too much time, find another way to get that across. And, sometimes it is reframing. Sometimes that time that you consider wasted, it's not really wasted. Your mind or body, maybe you're just not satisfied with it. If that's the case, rethink through this or ask someone else. What do you think about that? I am very critical of my own presentations or the way when I'm trying to get a point across. A lot of times I will assume they didn't get it. Well, maybe they did. So a lot of times it's reframing, and that time is not wasted. Ask somebody, what did you think? Having good friends, good supportive people at work, family, goodness, they'll correct you in a heartbeat. However, don't waste time doubting yourself. Confirm that you wasted that time, or maybe it can be reframed. No, that was great. They got it. They got what you said. That meant a lot to me as well. And it can totally turn that guilt over wasting someone's time into some satisfaction. Oh, good. Because you think I wasted my time, I wasted their time. Nah, not the case at all. And then a lot of times when you feel like you've wasted time, the way to redeem that, I got to get a quick win under my belt. It can be something small, some satisfying task. I had to look for that thing for 10 minutes. You know what? I'm going to take 20 minutes out and totally declutter this. My wife has a bad habit of just piling my clothes on a guest room bed because I use the guest room closet. I say that's a bad habit of hers when really it evolved from her hanging my stuff or putting my stuff in the wrong place. Anyway, from time to time, the clothes on that bed will turn into a pile. And then occasionally it's annoying, and I can clear that pile up in 15 minutes, and it is neat. Everything is placed. It's great. However, I procrastinate to do that. Once I go in there in that 15 minutes, everything's put away, more times than not, and you can ask, hey, did you see the room? I'm so proud of that. It took hardly any time, and everything looks great. Everything's organized, and it's in its place. It saves time later. That's that quick win. Maybe I want to write down some notes from something we just did. All right, the meeting didn't go well. All righty. Well, let me hit these bullet points. or let me go back to my notes and do whatever. And you know what? I can take this and you develop a plan. Well, once you have a plan, that's a go-to. Once you're preparing, all right, I feel better about that. I can redeem this later. However, you did that immediately. You turned something bad into something that can be positive if certain steps are taken. So get that quick win right after that. And then I think a lot of what I do from time to time, and you learn to do this. I'm a chronic time waster over the years. I'm against multitasking. I'm against it. However, the but word, a lot of times you can, I've been on calls where I know this is a waste of time, so I will do something else while the call's going on if I'm not running the call. A lot of times when I'm driving, I'll make to-do lists. I'll record to-do lists. When I'm driving, I'll listen to something inspirational. I'll listen to a podcast. I'll listen to a speech. I've listened to some of my stuff, and I can critique that. So while I'm having to do something else, I'm being productive. Traffic is so unproductive to me. Yeah, I'm getting somewhere, but and it causes impatience. So what I'll do is I'll stack productivity on what I consider wasted time. I made a trip, a 6.5 hour trip. I drove on purpose because I needed to learn some things. I needed to think. And so I made the drive. I sorted so much out. It was great. That's stacking productivity. I put the car on cruise control, 5 miles an hour above the speed limit, and thought, however long it takes, it takes. Well, that's slower than I usually travel. I'm not a speeder, but sometimes on the open road, I'll get going. That slowness, it slowed me down. And I was there for 2 hours, no radio, no nothing. I just looked around and noticed how beautiful everything was. I noticed burros, those wild burros that going around. I even videoed them sometimes. There's one little town I went through. They stopped traffic. It was crazy. I didn't get impatient because I had planned for that time. And it was good for me. We have bighorn sheep in the desert here. I've never seen them. Well, they blend in with the atmosphere. So because I was slower, I noticed some. And I think that is a good analogy or a good lesson. Wasting time doesn't mean being so busy. It means not appreciating the time you spend. Whatever you're doing, it should be important enough that you spend the time doing it. But also, you should value it enough to take it all in. Every drop, every word, every facial expression. Value it enough to where your words mean something to that person. Let people know you care about them. Let work know this is important. This is work time. Let yourself know this is my leisure time, my relaxed time, my play time. You're going to be less stressed, more productive, and you're going to be more fun and better to be around. So wasted time is the enemy. How you use your time, it's important. And remember, you're the pilot. You're the pilot. So it's a never-ending endeavor. And then when you do waste time, we've talked about some of that stuff. Reframe it. Look back. Learn from it. Get a quick win in. And then, stack some productivity on top of it. I hope this helps. I hope you waste less time. I hope you don't think this hour has been a waste of time. But I do appreciate it. And this is why I appreciate your listening so much and your support. If I wasted an hour of your time, reframe it because you can get something out of it. However, that is not my intention. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you. Thanks for O-Talking with Dave. Thanks for hanging out, hanging on. Tell me what you think. Dave at otalks.com or David at otalks.com. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your time. Giddy up.